On the discussion segment this morning, we have another good, fantastic topic for you. This is a topic that has been with us, how many years now? Maybe 6, 7 decades or more. And it is a determinant in the way we are. It is a determinant in where we find ourselves as we speak. It is a situation that is bad for our development. It is a situation we haven't even found a solution to. And it is a solution that my brother is going to give us his own insightful insights into how we got here. We are still in the quagmire as we speak. We're going to fashion out bits and pieces of solutions by looking at our experiences. And what am I talking about here this morning? Our topic is military coups as retrogressive development in Africa. Did you hear that? Military coups as retrogressive development in Africa. It has been happening. It will keep on happening because 3 days ago, I was thinking the latest coup in Africa was Guinea. 30 hours ago, Sudan joined the fray. With me in the studio this morning is my brother, Majid Dahiru. Can you welcome him to the studio? Because I have already done that.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here, my brother. Same here, my brother. Like I did in my opening intro, here that military coups have come to us in Africa. It has been with us in Africa for a long time. And like I said, I was even thinking, okay, Guinea is the latest. But 30 hours ago, Sudan joined the fray. Honestly, I have the stats on hand. You see, in the past, between 2010 and now, that is 11 years, you wouldn't believe it, we've had 34 coups and coup attempts. 34.
In Africa.
In West Africa. in terms of Africa, the numbers are huge. In Africa, within the past 50, 60 years, it's over 150 coup attempts and coups in itself. Well, let's look at the West African context, because these things are more prone in West Africa than in the southern part of Africa. Let me shock you. Lately, in West Africa, we've had 9 coups between that 11-year period. We've had in Niger, we've had in Mali, twice in Mali, we've had in Central African Republic, we've had in Egypt, we've had in Burkina Faso, we've had in Zimbabwe, and lately, Sudan. My brother, what bothers me, I am sure bothers you too. It seems we are in problem. What is wrong with this, our military setup? What is wrong with the polity? Is it the polity that is influencing the military, or is the military that is just getting antsy and itchy enough to come back and say they want power? What is wrong with us, my brother? Give us an intro.
I think a lot is wrong with us. And the military and its itchy fingers is simply a function of what is a dysfunctional state of affairs in most of sub-Saharan Africa.
That's true. That's true.
The inability to evolve into true nation states, nations of citizens, and not countries of ethnic nationalities and tribesmen.
Okay. Because if we don't negate that, we can't move ahead.
Oh, we can't move ahead. So what you see, the cycle of coup in Africa that's been with us since the early independence years in the 60s, and as recently as 10 years ago, is simply an indication that Africa has actually remained static in its development.
That's true.
If not even in a state of retrogression.
That's right.
Because when the 60s is happening in the 21st century, it tells you that
these guys, we haven't moved.
We haven't moved. And the factor responsible for coup plots in Africa still very much, which is the polity.
That's right.
A lot is wrong with the polity. And coup interventions usually come as a messianic, attempt to correct.
That makes the people are happy, jubilated.
Yes. But what makes people happy are receptive to coup. It is the kind of politics we practice in sub-Saharan Africa. A politics that is not developmental,
That's right.
You know, sometimes people want to even question the validity of democracy as a system of government. But I'm quick to correct them to say, look, what we have in countries like Guinea, Mali, Sudan, and to some extent even Nigeria, is not actually a democracy in its true sense.
Okay.
What you have is simply civilian administration that in most cases is actually more undemocratic than you can imagine. Because when you do not allow for credible elections, when you dominate power and personalize use of power and make peaceful, democratic and orderly change difficult, during our electoral cycle, you begin to invite some of these tendencies. And so we need to also look at what is it that makes people yearn for military intervention in Africa. Because experience has shown that most military intervention you see in Africa has support of the people.
Yes, in most cases.
In most cases. So what led to that point where you have groundswell of support and public opinion favors military takeover of civilian administrations? That should be the point of interrogation.
Okay. At this juncture, before I throw my next question at you, let's just take a quick commercial break. Based on your last tidbit to us, that there are instances where the polity is even happy to have the military come in, I begin to wonder if we are not in the mess that we can get out of. Because like you rightly said, there is no military coup without the polity, the civilians being part of it. It happens all over the place. Even the military are not that senseless not to bring in some civilians, maybe the ones that are loaded enough to fund the coup, and then before they move ahead from there. But at the same time, let's start apportioning blames here. There are about, let me use the latest one so that most Nigerians can remember. In the case of Guinea, I have a photograph of the man, Mulumba, who was holding the umbrella on the head of the then president. And he said one thing, that it was the yearnings of the people. When the man wanted a third term, it was the yearnings of the people that made him come out. Which goes in tandem with what you said.
So if you ask me, the coup in Guinea didn't happen when the military took over. The coup happened when Alpha Conde, against the popular wishes of the Guinean people,
that's right,
decided to amend the constitution.
Constitution for a third term.
That was when the coup took place. So what you have today that you are calling a coup is simply a military takeover after a civilian coup against the civilian people of Guinea.
I like your inference there, because your inference is it was the civilian that planned a coup against the constitution and the constitution. People. Before this military man now said no.
Exactly. And you're talking about leadership that has not delivered much in terms of tangible good governance to the Guinean people throughout his stay in power. And he wants to extend his rule, denying the people the freedom, the liberty
of that word, democracy.
Democracy, until we become really democratic in our governance structure across Africa. Military coup will be inevitable because the people will always yearn for someone that will come and oppress their oppressors.
You see, what you just said now gets me scared a little bit. Are we looking at military coups? Because from the stats that I have, it seems it's coming back. Between 2010 and 2021, which is 11 years, I told you, we've had 34 coup attempts. No, coup attempts and coups. The coups are 9. The coup attempts are about 25.
Yeah, because there was a break in the 90s. You know, when most African countries transited from either military or one-party dictatorships into
a democracy.
You know, with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the integration of Germany. So there was a democratic wind of change that blew across the world. Because America emerged as the global superpower, the only superpower, following the collapse of the Soviet Union. And so in the 90s and early 2000s, we saw, you know, a move towards a democratization
setting of a global setting.
So you are right to say, look, from 2010, we are going to see a reversal of some of these democratic gains. And we're going to how we used to be 60 years ago.
That's right. That's right.
And so we are saying, yes, we know for sure, having been through the same process as Nigerians, the military rule actually solves no problem. It actually compounds without problem.
Oh yes, they are not there to come and rule.
No, they're not there.
They're not trained. They are not nothing. They know nothing about.
Usually, they have some other agenda that is subsumed momentarily.
That's right.
Under a popular agenda of good governance, democracy, liberty.
How do you do
and once even in government, that hidden agenda now comes to the fore,
right.
which is usually anti-people. Usually, the best form of change would have been democratic. But we need to learn a lesson from this. Having experienced both, Nigeria has been a military dictatorship. Nigeria is also practicing what I call a pseudo kind of democratic governance structure. The lesson we need to learn is to improve on our democratic credentials as a nation.
I want you to give us factors that will mitigate that element of we're beginning to see a rise in military coups.
And that's what I've just talked about, sir. We need to scale up our democratic credentials as a nation. I am very happy that the National Assembly is poised to pass a reformed electoral bill into law,
That's right.
And I hope the president will sign it. That should be a starting point. Because when people know and have confidence in the democratic process,
that's right.
They would not yearn for any form of forceful change because you have made peaceful change impossible or difficult. So it's a starting point, and it will be good for the president to sign this into law and also to pretend over a sanitized electoral management process that empowers the people at all levels, from the local government to the state,
highly necessary.
to begin to elect their political leadership with an agenda for good governance. And secondly, and most importantly too, the institutions of democracy.
That's what I wanted to go into. The institutions that keeps the democracy in shape.
Do
we have them?
We have them.
Are they performing to speed?
No. We often focus more on the National Assembly.
Okay.
And by implication the judiciary as well. But the most important institution of democracy are actually the political parties.
Yeah, naturally, yes, they are the drivers.
Political parties. You see, most of our problems as a country or as a nation can be solved through a deliberate political process.
How do we achieve that?
Now we need to set an agenda now for the political parties on how to transform from just being special purpose vehicles for power grab, for self-service.
That's right.
To institutions, to the fulcrum of democratic good governance, where the leadership recruitment process
is transparent and democratic.
Not only but that is guided by a philosophy to deliver good governance, an abiding philosophy, and fidelity to the rule of law. The political party should be a training ground or a breeding process for leaders that are well groomed, well honed in the ethics and the principles of democratic good governance.
That's right.
And so we need to now begin to focus on the political parties, because the greatest threat to our democracy is not the Nigerian military. It's not even the mob. It's the political party, the dysfunctional state of our political parties, the undemocratic state of our political parties.
Thank you.
Our political parties have failed to live up to expectation in the last 21 years of our democracy. And somehow we have exonerated them. We've not been, putting them on the spotlight. We focus more on the National Assembly and the executive arm of government, forgetting that those you have today at the National Assembly and those you have at the government houses
were put there by the political parties.
So we need to sanitize the political parties. And it is even easier to achieve because it is what it is, a political party. We need to give support where they are doing well, but most importantly, we need to scrutinize. We need to get them to begin to take their responsibility as molders and shapers of political leadership from infancy.
That's good. That's really good. That's really good. My viewers out there, I always like chipping in things when we get educated in our discourse. My guest here, Majid Dahiru, has been able to give us an insight into what most of us we just sit back and don't give a thought to, which I call the drivers of democracy, the political parties. If we look at the political parties that we have here present, every day there is squabbles. Every day there is Court cases. In most cases, it's a house against itself. In most cases, we don't even have political parties anymore. Gone are the days where manifestos were like law books, where everybody adheres to what the manifesto of the party says. Gone are the days when people stick to political parties and don't leave. Unlike these days, they jump ship today, they jump ship tomorrow. In other words, what they're telling us is there is no ideology, there is no political party, you can do anything. And until we, as the people, put up political parties that are strong, like my brother said, we are in problem. If there are no strong political parties, which we can afford to call institutions, in most cases, if there are no good institutions on ground, there is no way you can have good results.
No, you cannot.
It is a problem for us to look at. It is a problem for us to achieve. To use his language, he said it's an easy affair. Because every one of us, either you are in politics or you are outside of politics, you are a politician.
You're a politician. You're a citizen. It's a citizen's responsibility.
It's a citizen's responsibility. Don't you tell yourself, don't you delude yourself by saying I am not a politician. You are a politician. Because whenever governance gets there and you complain, it was because you did not do anything. You did not exercise your right. It's high time we exercise our rights and make sure that the political parties we put together are good representatives of the people. I would like to tell you one thing again, which he has educated us with. In most cases, we sit back and say, the executive is not doing anything. We say the National Assembly is not doing anything. These are the people you put there. You are the determining factor. So why are you complaining? Like my brother rightly said, it's high time we look at ourselves. We are the determinants of the political parties that eventually becomes the drivers of our government. My brother, I can never say thank you enough. I'm giving you one huge thank you in block letters and underline.
I'm honored, sir.
We move ahead from there, and then we look at situations. I can't but help talk about us, not just Nigeria, Africa as a whole.
Yes.
We've had instances of this, our sit-tight leaders. Yes. Let me cite you some of them that are still alive, that are still around. The number one, the top dog, the gold medal winner is Nguema of Equatorial Guinea. 41 years. In Cameroon, we have Biya, that is 38 years. In Congo Brazzaville, we have Sassou, that is 36. In Uganda, Museveni is doing 34. In Eritrea, Afwerki is doing 27.
He is the first. He's been there since the inception of the nation, the Eritrean nation.
Nobody has come there to challenge him for 27 years. Not forgetting the ones that have been ousted, like Compaoré of Burkina Faso, 27 years. Dos Santos, that is late, 35 years. Mugabe, that is out, 34 years. Al-Bashir of Sudan, that was thrown out, 25 years. And even our own Gambia here, Jammeh, that was thrown out too, spent 20 years.
And the Society is also trying to...
He's trying to do same.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to get into. That even these ones that are just there now, why is it that this is happening to us?
And Togo and Gabon has a dynasty.
Oh, no, that one is a family hierarchy.
Family affair.
It's a family affair when they are not Koreans.
Yes.
It's what do we do about this? Is there something inherent in us that makes this happen?
Yes, there's something inherent in us.
Give us an inkling, please.
Yes, you see, unfortunately, Nigeria has a problem of ethnicity and religion, just like most African countries.
Okay.
And so our politics is that of identity. And average African is a tribesman, psychologically and mentally.
The way he's wired.
He's wired, he's a tribesman. And so sometimes you discover that these people are able to hold on to power because of tribal support that they have. So the tribesman do not think of the collective, he thinks of the individual.
That tribe itself.
That tribe. And he sees every group as an outsider, an enemy, that does not deserve social justice, that does not deserve equity, that does not deserve fairness. And so to him, once his own is in power, and the populate or they dominate the apparatus of government, including the armed forces, most importantly, and security services, to be able to sustain the regime in power, everything can go to hell. And so some of these ethnic champions have taken advantage of this.
I like that language, ethnic champions.
They've taken advantage of this to hold on to power using sectional support base, family rooted.
That's right.
So if you look at Togo, if you look at all the examples we've just highlighted, if you dig down a little bit, you discover that they have some of this kind of support.
Yes.
If it had happened in Chad, yes, Idris Deby, who was also in power for more than 2 decades,
that's right,
had the support of his own ethnic group. And so when he died recently,
his son,
because his ethnic group dominates the armed forces, the hierarchy, the top command of the armed forces, and they control the power of coercion. And the power,
like it or not.
Yes, and they control legitimate force within that sovereign entity. Right. And so they're able to sustain one of theirs in power for pecuniary needs. But this is the problem we have with such arrangements. Usually, such countries are always very corrupt.
Extremely.
And because the only reward system for identity politics is patronage at the expense of the state.
At the state, yes. Yes, you got to point that. That one is all over Africa. Nigeria inclusive.
Exactly. So, you discover that such countries are corrupt, they are poor, they depend on aid, they are not able to meet up with basic responsibilities of governance. So they cater for a few elites that congregate around the power base, and the rest of the country remains impoverished. So from Equatorial Guinea to Congo to Chad to Togo, there's nothing positive to write home about all of these countries.
Thank you. Let me chip in this, because I would like you to just continue your trajectory of thought. Are we dancing to a foreign tune? Because it looks like we're dancing to a foreign tune here. Let me go back a little bit. There is an ex-French Prime Minister who said, without what we call Francophone countries of Africa, France does not have an economy.
Yes.
Again, the French experience in Africa is nothing good to write home about. Yes. Every day there are wars, skirmishes here and there. I would tell you one thing as a statement of fact. There is a division of French soldiers in Africa.
Yes.
A division is 5,000 men.
Yes.
All they are sitting down to do is, nothing goes out of our hands. This is our cash cow.
Yes.
And here we are, stupid as we can be.
I think I need to let me also give you a very big thank you for that word, stupid. That is the key word.
It's not good for the media, though.
No, but that's the key. Look, this is a moment of truth for us as a people.
That's right.
That is the key word, stupid. It's only a stupid man that will allow a foreign power to decide what happens in your own country. In fact, the reason for colonialism in the first place, I'm not justifying it, it was bad. I mean, nobody should leave his own territory and come
to another man's and then turn him into
But the reason why it happened in Africa was because of this same stupidity. Africans were fighting intertribal wars with each other. Despite our similarities, despite our oneness, we insisted that we are different.
Can you beat that?
We are people of the same color. You see, let me use the opportunity to say this, sir. Until Nigeria transforms, and of course the rest of Africa, from countries of tribesmen to nations of citizens.
That's right. I like that. I like that phrase. Countries, we should move away from countries of tribesmen into
nations of citizens.
Nations of citizens, where we see ourselves as Nigerians.
You begin to ask me what is the difference between the two. Now,
tell our viewers.
In countries of tribesmen, now the constituent peoples are always competing amongst themselves for internal resources. Okay. Because we see each other as different entities in one, so we are competing amongst ourselves.
Rather than developing, we're busy fighting.
But in the nation of citizens, when we understand our oneness,
that's right.
We will now compete with other nations of the world for global resources.
That's true.
So discover that nations of citizens are much more prosperous because, whereas in countries of tribesmen, you're fighting law to become senator, House of Reps, governor, for the purpose of sharing what you call the national cake. Now, nations of citizens are actually competing with Ghana for the dominance of beans market in West Africa.
That's right.
Competing with China for shoe export out of Aba into the African market. Competing with South Africa for the subsistence sector in Africa, and so on and so forth. And so the cake is enlarged, it is bigger, it's being built continuously. And so we have enough now to cater for our economy and welfare.
The well-being of the citizenry.
Now, it is a fallacy, sir, to state that Nigerians are made up of different ethnic groups. No, Nigeria is made up of various ethnic groups. Because Nigeria is not actually a diverse country. Nigeria is a plural country. Plurality of the same Black African family.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
From the north to the south to the east to the west, Nigerians are interrelated. Our culture suggests that much.
That's right.
Our history shows a commonality that predates colonialism in Africa. And I've insisted that the Nigerian cultural commonwealth and even linguistic family extend beyond the borders of modern Nigeria into Benin, into Niger, into Cameroon. And so we have no reason whatsoever as a people to be this disunited, except for our crass stupidity. If we do not call out tribalism and make it look stupid, we'll be on this same conversation for several centuries to come. God forbid.
That would be a shame.
That would be a shame.
There will be the bubble will have
the
burst.
French man that came to colonize you, the British man that colonized us, they are not less plural than us. They are as plural as we are. Among the white race, you have ethnic groups as well.
That's right.
Different ethnicities that make up the white man you are saying, the white composition.
Little wonder somebody like Hitler calls himself an Aryan.
Amongst
the Germans and Austrians. He said his own Aryan are the elite group of human beings.
That's the point. So it tells you that they have their own primordial ethnic divisions.
That's right.
But because they're not as stupid as we are, they are wise.
They were able to.
Sir, it is stupid for me to look at you, a black man like me, with grizzly hair, with the same complexion, with the same physical features, and decide that I'm too different from you because you identify as Yoruba and identified as Ibira. That is the height of stupidity. Even in my community, the cap you are wearing in this particular style is one in my community. The fabric you are wearing is the same as I am wearing sitting down with you.
That's right.
We are dressed almost in the same style.
That's right.
So I have ignored all of these similarities and still decide to judge you, not by the content of your character, not by your competencies, not by what you can deliver or our shared interest, but
that's stupid.
He's a Yoruba man. It is the height of stupidity. And until we overcome these primordial sentiments and evolve into a nation that can compete.
That's right. Healthy competition.
Healthy competition with other nations. And to compete, you need a leadership that is responsible and understands that the greater good should take preeminence over individual interests.
Personal interests.
Until we have such leadership. You see, when you see leaders in the West that are not strong men, that allow institutions to run, they are not stupid. No, they know that they will retire and fall back to that society. And it is what they put in place by way of good governance structure, security, healthcare, and welfare for the vulnerable that they will fall back to. And they are aware. And so they don't want to sit that in government. And they also know that this life, this world is transient.
That's very, 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 very transient and relative. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. I can't but help keeping you here. If I have my chance, I would as well keep you here for the next 30 minutes. But time is a constraint here. And then we're trying to give the best to you, our viewers out there, that we have something to do. We have a responsibility that is personal. You and I, it is our responsibility as Nigerians to make Nigeria grow. It's high time we forget that element of I am a Yoruba man, you're an Igbo man, or you're an Hausa man. It's high time we stop being non-thinkers and move ahead and believe in what we can do together. I keep on running this analogy. Look at my hand. I have 5 fingers. Alone, they are not strong enough to hold any resistance. But if I do this, it becomes a fist. And with this, we can compete globally. If we keep behaving like this, we are not going anywhere. It's high time we start behaving like this. In unity, as a country, as a people, thinking more with our brains than thinking more with our, I don't want to use the wrong word here, with something for non-thinkers. Let us behave like thinkers and not non-thinkers. The onus is on every one of us to make Nigeria work. If it doesn't work, we will keep running like we are running now. Today, 10 are killed, 20 are kidnapped, this and that. Everybody keeps running helter-skelter based on the fact that we never nipped it in the bud. We never believed in ourselves. Like my earlier discussant, he gave us an insight. He said one thing. Religion has nothing to do with insurgency, the criminality, the jihadists that we find ourselves in. It's all based on greed, personal aggrandizement. It boils down to just you and I. If we want to make Nigeria a great nation, the onus is on us. And to my brother here in the studio, one big thank you for gracing the occasion. One big thank you. I always enjoy it, the feedback we get from our people. They say a lot about what we do, about your person, and some other discussions too. And you are viewers out there, there is a feedback mechanism on screen. Use it. Nobody, I repeat, nobody has a prerogative of intellect. We that are here seated, we don't have a prerogative of intellect. Let us share ideas. Let us juxtapose our ideas. Then we will be able to foment and have a better Nigeria. It's important. It's imperative. Use that feedback mechanism. Get across to us. Let's talk some more so that collectively we'll make Nigeria a better place. My brother, one big thank you once again.
Thank you once again, sir. And I'm honored to be here.
And to you, our viewers, don't go away.